So now we're on to texturing, and for the texturing I'm not going to really do a step-by-step how-to, as there's a lot of different ways you can paint your textures and different methods people use. So I'm going to just show the end results and how I got to them, what options I used in Photoshop, and how they were applied in 3ds Max. So here you can see my final diffuse in Photoshop, and you can see my UVs laid over it. It's kind of hard to make them out, but I can invert them here a little bit, and you can see them right there. I usually apply these just as a multiply layer. It's kind of dark to see, but you can also make a copy, set it to screen, and invert it so you have white lines over your mesh. So we'll go with this for now since it's a little bit easier to see. So you can see where all the shadow and stuff is from all the overlapping pieces and the outlines of the geometry that you don't have to worry about painting outside of. So we'll just focus on this stuff here and go on. So hide that again, and you can see here I got the camouflage, the light, and a little bit of surface wear and scratches. And it's up to you how you want to wear it. It depends on how it's used in the game. The detail level also depends on what type of game it is. I painted this based off the idea that it was for a first-person shooter, so I wanted to put a little bit more detail into it, some smaller scratches that would show up on the screen. When you work on a third-person type game, though, chances are this might not be zoomed in on unless perhaps it's in a cinematic, so you'd want to not really paint the tiniest detail since the texture might be smaller anyways on screen. So you always want to take these things into consideration before you go really crazy and paint all kinds of detail that's just going to be compressed down or become noisy on the screen. And looking back at this again, I think that the camouflage pattern's a little too small. So if I were to make an adjustment on this myself, I'd probably change that. But for this, we're just going to go with it. So you can see my final diffuse layer here. I've taken my diffuse group, flattened it, and then sharpened it a little bit, and you can see the slight difference. But let's go through the surface stuff here. So all the different layers, and you can see just adding a little bit of color variation to the rubber parts. We'll just break it up a little bit, hopefully make it look like rubber a little bit more. And so we'll just go down through the list here and turn everything off, and you can see what it looks like with absolutely nothing. So this is the base mats here, and you can see that's just the blank bare metal underneath, and my overlays that I use to portray metal. The base layer paint here, originally I was just going to have it be like a brown paint. Then I thought the camo would be a really nice touch, being for a military type game. So I found a nice pattern that I liked, and you can see here, obviously in real life you wouldn't get the butterfly effect that you can see from the mirrored stuff, and I could go through and paint that out, but we'll just keep it going for now. So I brought that in, made a copy of it, and I used it as a overlay. Basically it just uses the layer below it to mask itself out automatically, and you can just hold down Alt and click in between, and you should get the little icon change here. You can see it change, and you click that, it will basically mask it to the layer below it. And basically you can go back, and it's just clip and mask, and it can be really useful for stuff like this and a bunch of other stuff, as it will keep it to the boundaries of the layer below it. It's basically the mask. So I can show you something really quick here, so you can see how it's erasing not just the the brown underneath, but also the camouflage on top. So then we'll add the gunmetal paint, and these are just base layers really quick, just to get some color contrast in between these, and so adding the material overlays. And this is where you want to start defining what type of metal or what type of surface it's going to be. But even before that, we have our regular overlays, which we baked out earlier, which was our AO map. And basically just what we get from our high poly model, the lighting and shadowing and stuff. And we'll use that to just add a little bit of lighting in there and a little bit of the shape. And it helps us paint too, because we'll know where the crevices are. And I actually baked out a separate AO from the low poly once it's all assembled. So I get the shadows in there from where pieces actually overlap in the model, since it will help just define it a little bit better just by adding a little bit of hint of shadow from where pieces are, interconnected and overlapping. And AO boost here is just a little bit of additional shadow I painted in the areas that will help add like crevices here. So for like the speaker holes and the mic stuff, I wanted to make sure it was holes, and since the high poly, it wasn't actually holes in the geometry, it was just the overlapping floaters that we created. I want to just paint that in, darken it up a little bit to sell it a little bit more. So, and you can see here edge highlight. It's subtle. It's a subtle effect here, but you can see when it's turned on, it adds a little bit of light and information to the edges here that should get caught. And so, with those applied, and we'll turn our material overlays back on. And these are basically just textures you can find. CG Textures is a good site. There's a bunch of different other ones. You can even take your own. Overlays can be everything from your rust to scratches to rubber detail to basically the surface detail that will help sell it and bring it to life. So, and then the dirt layer, grunge. So this is obviously up to you how you want to approach it. It's kind of an all over layer, and then I just masked it out. You can see here where my mask is, and it's nothing special. It's just just to give it a little bit of dirt and wear in the corners and recesses, so it'll help sell it. So it looks like it's been used in the field a little bit, and so then a little bit more surface rub stuff, independent from the regular dirt buildup. And this would be from like hands touching it. You can see here where a hand would hold it and touch a few of the areas and stuff. So imagine this would be used by most people are right-handed, so I put a lot of the rubs on the left-hand side, so that's where it'd be held the most. And then our glow is basically just going to be the subtleness of the lights here, and text details. So just threw my name on there with basically just Moody Industries. And you can find logos. You could it depends all on what's being used for. So you might use actual stickers, logos that you get from a client, or for the project. A lot of games will create fake brands, so you'd put that in there and make sure it looks like it's from the same universe, and it helps sell it in the game if you see a lot of things from the same company over and over and over again. So think about that stuff when you're doing this as well, and it'll help just sell the piece overall. So, and once all that stuff's added together, it's the layer gets copied. I can hold down Alt and up and drag it up, and it'll make a copy. And you can see here it says diffuse copy. And what I'll do with that is I'll come up to image, layer, and then merge group, Control E is the hotkey, and you can see now it's just a flattened layer, much like this one. And I'll filter, sharpen, unsharp mask, and it always depends on the taste. You don't want to over sharpen it because it can start to get kind of ugly. These are usually the base settings that I use. It's nothing too crazy, but you can see it just adds a little bit of sharpness to it and helps it look a little bit nicer and stuff when it's in game. Because once you're in game, your textures are going to get compressed anyways, and a lot of times they'll get blurry. So if you can help prevent that just a little bit with, sharpening the image up or just keeping things looking nice and crisp from the beginning, it'll really help. So next up, we'll be going over the specular and the gloss. So be right back.